meet Jasper. Say, Jasper, say hello. All right, so welcome to day 2 of my 30-day challenge. I promised myself I'm going to post a video for the first 30 days, one each day, where I will share something, a tip or story or a lesson or an experience, and, you know, open a little bit of window into my soul and who I am and what I hope to bring and share with the world. So, have you ever had a time where you would feel guilty? As a single mom, that was something that we as women we have tendency to feel inadequate, feel like we're not enough. Because my children don't have a male father figure nearby. My ex-husband is not in this country. He's all the way across the pond. So he's not present. And I have made a choice of not dating or bringing into our life another man while my kids were little, because I really didn't want to repeat the pattern. I took a really good look at my relationships. I looked at my parents' relationship as a role model, which was not something I would aspire to. There was always a lot of tension, a lot of disagreements. It didn't feel to me like a model that I would want to imitate. And from my own relationship, I knew that that was also not, it was not a good partnership. We were in different places. We wanted different things, and we certainly did not take the time to get to know one another well enough to form a family unit. So even though we both tried, and that's the key, we were trying, we were forcing something. It wasn't happening organically. And I think in the end, you know, what's best has come to pass. And so I chose to remain a single parent. But with that, you know, as women, we have tendency to feel guilty about that, feel guilty that our kids don't have a male role model, that their kids don't have a father in the house, that, you know, I as a parent have to fulfill both roles as best I can, or do everything that I can do as one person. And then I discovered that all of those things are just stories that I tell myself. And see, our mind makes up stories. Stories about things that we're afraid of, things we're worried about. So things that are not really happening. It's just something that we're imagining as a possibility that could happen. And you see, that's where the problem lies. It's the stories. And if you tell yourself the story enough times, or you hear a story from other people, from your teachers, your parents, your friends, when you hear that story long enough, it kind of becomes part of who you are. You then become aligned with it as if it were the truth. And that's what you want to realize, that everything that you tell yourself started off as a story, as an idea, and then you bought into that idea. You started believing it. And then it became so automatic that it became part of who you are, and then you started acting from that place. We call that conditioning or programming. In other words, any story that becomes a habitual pattern, it becomes your belief. It seeps into your subconscious mind, because our brain is designed to conserve energy. So when something we do over and over and over again, it becomes so familiar, the brain kind of creates a shortcut, and we already automatically do things from that place, from that file of knowing that is stuck, that is seeped into our subconscious mind. And the truth is that none of those stories are really the truth. They're just stories that we chose to believe and accept as our truth. And therein lies your power. You can change the story that you tell yourself. You can change the story that you decide to be your new truth. And even if it feels like a lie, well, might as well make up a better one, one that makes you feel empowered, one that makes you feel confident, one that makes you feel successful, one that makes you feel enough. So that's what I did. It took me a while. There was a time where I felt really guilty, and I felt really lonely, and I felt like I wasn't enough, and I wasn't sure if I was doing things right, and I probably wasn't. And it's not about perfection, but it's about striving to do better every day. So I have changed my story. I have changed the story that I tell myself. When I hear voices of doubt and fear creep in to my mind, I don't listen to them, because I know they are just old stories trying to break through. My new story is that I am enough. I have what it takes, and I'm doing my best, and I am striving to be the best role model that I can be for my daughters. I have learned to recognize that I'm not perfect, that I am human. I am a spirit having a human experience, and as a human, I do make mistakes. But what I teach my daughters is that I don't insist on being right. I admit when I make a mistake. I apologize. And I help, or I hope, to do better. I ask them to hold me accountable. If I get caught up in an emotional moment and I don't catch myself first, and they see that I am going into that place where I react instead of respond from a place of love and compassion, I ask my daughters to remind me. We have a little signal, and that helps, because now we are working together. We are working together to strive to do better, to be better. So when my daughters are having an emotional moment, it's important to feel those feelings, to allow them to come through, but it's also important not to stay with them and not to marinate in them and not to keep hashing them over and over and over again, because that's when you get stuck. And that's when you create a pattern. That's when you create a chemical response in your body, where those feelings of sadness, if you continue to relive them by retelling the story and feeling sorry for yourself and looking for someone who will confirm that you are a victim and this is something terrible that happened and you should continue to feel sorry for yourself, you teaching your body, you teaching your brain that this is the state you want to be in, so that you will continue to find other opportunities to stay in that place of being a victim. When the emotional something happens, it's important to honor our feelings. It's important to feel them, but it's also important to allow them to pass through you and be open and knowing that everything that's happening in our lives is there's only one thing happening. And this one thing is life. Life is happening not to us. Life is happening with us, and it's happening through us. And every experience that we have, that we encounter, whether it may seem as good or bad to our human side, it is there to serve a purpose. It is there to help us grow. As my mentor says, Mary Morrissey says, the content of our lives is the curriculum of our evolution. So every single thing that's happening to us is not happening to us. We're not a victim. We are part of that experience. That experience is happening for our benefit. We just have to be willing to keep a little piece of our mind open to searching for the good in that experience, for the lesson, for the thing that we can be grateful for, that is helping us grow and become more of who we are meant to be. So, my point today and the lesson from day 2 that I wanted to share with you is that we get to decide who we are. Our past and our current conditions don't define us. They're not our limits. They're just something we've created up until this point from the way we've been thinking and believing and behaving until now. But we can choose a different story. We can decide who we want to be and how we want to act from this point on. And we can write a new story for ourselves, and we can repeat it to ourselves as a form of affirmation or as a form of auto-suggestion or as a declaration. And if you continue to tell yourself this new story over and over and over enough time, just like the old story, it will seep into your subconscious. It will become part of who you are, and you will feel that change and transformation. But you can only do it in the moment where you notice the old story creeping up and you stop it. You don't get on that train thought and you don't follow the old story, but you stop and you consciously choose new story, choose to think new thoughts. You choose to think things that help you feel empowered, help you feel confident, that help you feel good about who you are and what you do in this world.